Chaos comedy with rapid-fire dialogue and hidden background gags that reward obsessive viewers. Character breaking, where the show deliberately destroys established traits and pranks audiences. Escalation madness that spirals minor problems into universe-ending catastrophes. Meta-awareness, where characters acknowledge their fictional existence while hiding multilingual jokes. Dark whiplash that smuggles existential trauma into episodes using humor. Evolving callbacks, where running gags develop complexity across seasons into layered references. Real speech through improvised dialogue that makes interdimensional characters sound genuinely human. And genre trolling that flips sci-fi tropes with wild, unexpected endings. So stick around, because these are not just jokes. Rick and Morty weaponizes chaos through rapid-fire dialogue where characters constantly interrupt each other, creating conversational rhythms that mirror actual arguments rather than polished TV banter. The standout example, A Wrinkle in Time, where timeline splits create overlapping dialogue from multiple versions of the same characters. Rick, Morty, and Summer literally interrupt themselves across dimensions, with lines becoming unintelligible chaos until timelines sync up for the punchline. It's comedy that makes you work for the laugh, and somehow that effort makes it funnier. But here's the sneaky part. Freeze frame any episode and the background screams jokes. In Morty's Mind Blowers, a caged Meeseek silently rattles its bars with no dialogue, no music sting, just half-second visual despair. Spot the Citadel recycling poster. Reuse your Morty. A brutal ethics gag disguised as eco-propaganda. The Pizza Universe homeless chair pouring out liquor in 3-second shock. These background gags never get spoken, so your brain files them as weird wallpaper instead of comedy. Once you start hunting, every hallway becomes a Where's Waldo of existential dread. The overwhelming pace creates humor accumulation rather than discrete punchlines. Compound interest comedy that rewards multiple viewings. Which throwaway Rick and Morty gag did you only catch on your third rewatch? Comment below with the episode and your favorite hidden joke, and hit subscribe for more comedy breakdowns that reward obsessive viewing. Now let's shift to how Rick and Morty weaponizes character inconsistency. The writers deliberately demolish their own character rules if it serves a better joke, but they also punk the audience with fake insider knowledge. The perfect example, Morty's violent rampage in Look Who's Purging Now. For 7 episodes, this kid served as the moral compass, always trying to do right, getting upset at Rick's cruelty. He's literally the channel for traditional Earthling morality, so the writers stick him on an alien planet during Purge Night and watch him completely snap. Sweet little Morty goes full psycho, screaming, "You like that? I'm alive because I'm better than you," while destroying aliens in blood rage. It's shocking, hilarious, and the complete opposite of everything established about his character. Quick-fire contradictions. Buff Rick abandoning science for gym montages. Jerry suddenly becoming competent. Rick's red grin grumble reference where Summer nods knowingly, except the writers admitted in commentary that phrase means absolutely nothing. It's a social compliance test. The joke is on us for pretending we understand the reference instead of admitting we're lost. The show even calls itself out. Season 5's Decoy. Rick remarks it's a little out of character for him to hand out weapons, the writers winking at their own inconsistencies. This isn't sloppy storytelling, it's comedy strategy that catches viewers completely off guard while somehow feeling believable in the show's warped universe. Which character flip shocked you most? Tell us in comments which contradiction caught you off guard, and ring that notification bell for more deep dives into what makes shows tick. Next up, absurdist escalation. Rick and Morty masters the art of taking tiny problems and spiraling them into cosmic catastrophes, but they hide additional jokes in the escalation speed itself. Rick Potion number 9 begins with Morty wanting his crush Jessica to like him, literally the most basic teenage problem ever. Rick whips up a love potion. Jessica gets the flu. The potion mutates, spreads globally, and suddenly humanity becomes grotesque Cronenberg monsters. What started as "help me get a date" became "we accidentally destroyed civilization." Each Rick solution makes everything exponentially worse until Earth becomes uninhabitable. Then comes the ultimate subversion. Instead of heroically saving the world like every other sci-fi show, Rick says screw it, and hops to a fresh dimension where their counterparts conveniently died. They bury their own corpses, Rick cracks a beer, and the expected dramatic finale gets replaced with casual resolution. Speed escalation bonus. Classic comedy says things get funnier at the 3rd repetition. Rick and Morty compresses this to milliseconds. Rickmancing the Stone features a post-apocalyptic warlord wearing a hat, on top of another hat. First cut lands the absurd image, second underlines it, third shows both hats sliding off during his scream, underscoring the adventure's uselessness. Same rule, blink timing. The technique works because it mirrors real anxiety. We stress about small stuff while ignoring huge problems, just taken to cosmic extremes. Rick might destroy civilizations while getting worked up about canceled TV shows. Which escalation spiral made you laugh hardest? Check out our Rick and Morty 12 Most Shocking Revelations Part 1 for more universe-changing consequences that started small. Moving to meta commentary. Rick and Morty breaks the fourth wall without obvious camera winks, instead having characters casually reference TV show mechanics while pretending they're still fictional. The peak example, Never Ricking Morty, where Rick and Morty get trapped on what Rick calls a literal story device for an anthology, basically a train where each car contains different story vignettes. Rick explicitly explains narrative structure to Morty like teaching a writing class. The episode jokes about the Bechdel test, references Dan Harmon's story circle formula, and when Rick warns about hitting an act break, the show actually cuts to commercial. It's meta madness that hurts your brain in the best way. Hidden linguistic jokes. Jerry's Jerry-Bori kimono has Japanese kanji for fragile. Queen's Throne Stairs read Latin sis semper calumnium. You are always wrong. The writers bank on 99% not translating, so the 1% who do feel like co-conspirators in private roasts. Quick examples, Rick shouting rickandmorty.com in the pilot. 100 years rickandmorty.com. Parodying catchphrases and show promos simultaneously. By season 3, they ditched the expected third interdimensional cable episode, having Rick complain that anthology episodes every season got old, literally mocking their own repetitive concepts. Characters acknowledge fictional boundaries inconsistently. This unpredictable self-awareness keeps you guessing when they'll break character. Share which meta joke broke the fourth wall for you, and check our twisted Easter eggs in Rick and Morty that reveal everything breakdown for more hidden layers. Now we hit emotional whiplash. Rick and Morty's brutal talent for setting you up with silly antics, then smacking you with genuine existential horror. The masterclass, Rick Potion number 9. Ending. You spend 20 minutes laughing at grotesque Cronenberg monsters and Rick's casual attitude about global disaster. Then the final scene hits. Morty silently watching his original family through a window, realizing he's abandoned his world forever and can never return. The show lets that devastating moment hang with sad music while Morty gets his 1,000-yard stare. Fans still discuss how that scene made them laugh and feel hollow simultaneously. Existential Trojan horses. Morty's Mind Blowers presents a clip show of deleted memories, each ending with cosmic insignificance. You laugh at squirrel conspiracies, then realize you're watching gaslighting and memory abuse disguised as comedy. The humor is the delivery truck. Existential dread is the payload. Dark reference hiding. Pickle Rick grunts he refuses to die on a toilet, a wink at Elvis urban legends. Ancient reference, casual delivery, fans file it as random. Actually, it's writers planting real-world death myths inside cucumber murder fantasy, proving no reference too dark for this circus. The show uses dark humor as authentic coping mechanism. Characters joke about horrible things not because they don't care, but because humor serves as psychological defense against overwhelming realities. That feels genuinely human. Which dark comedy moment hit you unexpectedly hard? Subscribe for breakdowns of how comedy tackles serious themes, and check our Rick's heartbreaking final goodbye to Diane analysis for more emotional complexity. Next technique, running gag evolution. Rick and Morty doesn't just throw in random callbacks, they evolve jokes, making them more complex and funnier as seasons progress, rewarding longtime viewers while staying accessible to newcomers. The perfect evolution. Rick's Wooba Looba Dub Dub, catchphrase introduced in Me Seeks and Destroy as obvious parody of cheesy character slogans. Rick delivers it differently each time, almost mocking the concept of fixed catchphrases. Then season 1 finale drops the bomb. Bird Person translates it to mean, I am in great pain. Suddenly every previous usage gets recontextualized as a cry for help. After that revelation, Rick virtually retires the phrase. The joke evolved beyond its original premise. Deliberate spam comedy, you son of a bitch, I'm in. From the heist episode gets repeated by every character, Morty, Truckula, random thieves, all delivering identical recruitment lines. The show knows it's beating a dead horse. That's exactly the point. It's satire of formulaic movie dialogue through sheer commitment to the bit. Visual puzzle rewards. Memory parasites from discarded rocks in Morty Night Run later caused the total recall outbreak. The connection never gets explained. Discovery feels like solving a mystery. Mr. Poopy Butthole's evolving cameos update his life situation each season while breaking the fourth wall and acknowledging real-world production television timelines. Started as throwaway gag, became anticipated tradition. Comment with your favorite running gag that improved over time. Your engagement helps us reach more obsessive fans like you. Check our Season 8 post-Prime era analysis for more long-term viewer rewards. Moving to improvisation-style dialogue. Rick and Morty creates authenticity through natural speech patterns including stutters, interruptions, and incomplete thoughts, contrasting sharply with polished television dialogue. The secret process: Justin Roiland reads scripted lines once, tosses the script aside, then re-records dialogue in his own words, inserting Rick's trademark burps and spontaneous additions. Those belches are completely real. Roiland drinks light beer and swallows air to force burps at precisely timed moments. He admits this whole process is disgusting, but it makes Rick sound like an actual drunk scientist instead of someone reading lines. Pure improvisation gold. Two Brothers. Interdimensional cable trailer where you hear the narrator start describing an absurdly long title. Alien Invasion, Tomato Monster. Mexican Armada Brothers. Then trail off, laugh at his own absurdity, and simplify it to just Two Brothers. That's Roiland literally making up ridiculous premises until he cracks himself up. They kept those authentic voice actor surprise moments. Stealth metaphor bonus. Rick warning Morty never to look at another man's portal gun history plays like a macho joke. Plot rockets on, laugh arrives beat late. Exactly how embarrassment works in real life. Characters restart sentences constantly. It's like a simulation within a simulation, Morty. Morty fumbles. Aw, geez. Oh man. Oh geez. These aren't writing mistakes. They're natural speech patterns from the recording booth that make interdimensional sci-fi characters sound like real people having genuine conversations. Which realistic speech pattern do you catch yourself using? Smash subscribe. Engagement genuinely helps us create more behind-the-scenes content like this. Final technique: subversive science fiction parody. Rick and Morty takes familiar sci-fi setups from decades of movies and TV, gets you comfortable with the tropes, then pulls the rug out in unexpected ways. The ultimate subversion: Lawnmower Dog, where Rick literally announces, "It's like Inception, Morty," as they dive into dream layers, so you know exactly what's being parodied. But they throw in Planet of the Apes with family dog Snuffles gaining intelligence and enslaving humanity. You expect typical humans heroically defeat uprising ending. Nope. Morty shows Snuffles a dream of peaceful coexistence, and dogs simply leave Earth voluntarily. Complete genre destruction. Vindicators 3 introduces generic Marvel superheroes: Maximus Renegade Star Soldier, obviously Iron Man, Supernova, perfect Superman type. Then Rick sets up Saw-like death traps, killing most heroes in hilariously brutal ways. Instead of celebrating team-ups, the show demonstrates how easily infallible heroes get disposed of when confronted with realistic consequences. Algorithm-breaking parody. One Crew Over the Crew Coos Morty has Rick explicitly hating heist films, so the entire episode exaggerates every formula element. Repetitive crew assembly, inevitable double crosses, overcomplicated plans. Rick defeats the Heistatron robot by presenting such a convoluted plan that the algorithm literally collapses from its own logic. Rick actively rejects certain tropes entirely. He famously states he doesn't do time travel, and when they touch it with time-traveling snakes, it's portrayed as incomprehensible mess he immediately abandons. Rick and Morty's real genius isn't the belch or body count, it's whisper-level jokes requiring freeze frame, Google Translate, and philosophy seminars to fully appreciate. That's how Rick and Morty masters comedy through 8 core techniques. If this breakdown opened your eyes to why certain jokes land differently, subscribe and turn notifications on. We analyze what makes your favorite shows work every week. Check how Jerry went from loser to hero in Season 8 for these techniques in action. Spotted a secret gag I missed? Drop it in comments. Let's build the galaxy's most obsessive joke vault together.